But they do use the silhouettes.
Not any talk during Jonathan.
Really?
Okay,
I
Shabbat
wouldn't
shalom.
know.
Let me turn myself on here. Very good. Now we are coast to coast.
I'm not sure, the battery's good in that, is it on?
No, the receiver's not on.
Yeah, you gotta,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad.
All right, now, it was explained to me, either you have to turn the, oh, okay, we did it right.
Yeah.
You gotta turn the mic on first and then the amp.
That's the other room. Oops, sorry.
Okay, yeah, I'll get that. All right, Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. The Torah portion for this Shabbos is Ki Tetzei, when you go out to war. And I guess I'm starting to appreciate the Torah as I enter my dotage, because there is really a plethora of fascinating different laws in this Torah portion, most of which you wouldn't think of. And I'm not going to tell you they're all ethical. Some of them are just flat out strange. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So here we go. I'll tell you one anyway. Ki tetzei lamilchama, when you go out to war. You wonder how they waged war in those days. People say, oh, the Bible is so bloody and so full of murder and mayhem and that kind of stuff. The truth is that what you're talking about here, at least on the Israelite side, was a bunch of farmers with pointy sticks, or maybe they took the plow along. I don't know. They took anything that would make an impression on the enemy. But in this instance, if you are at war and you go into a tent of the enemy, and you see a beautiful woman, what do you do with the beautiful woman? No, not that.
I couldn't hear that.
You take her. I'm sure there must have been some beautiful men. You take her home with you, and for 30 days, no makeup, no haircuts, no trimming your nails. Just leave her alone to mourn her family, and after that, you can take her as a wife. However, if you change your mind and you decide that this beautiful captive woman is not for you, you can't just kick her out. You've got to make some kind of financial settlement, because you've got to treat her like a human being. And I can't help but feel these were very, shall we say, fluid days for the Jewish people or the Israelite people. And that's frankly how a number of Moabites and Ammonites got into the tribe. I really believe that. That's why nowadays you can't really tell who's Jewish. I mean, I take people at face value. But for example, there are the Black Jews, the Indian Jews, the Native American Jews, and so on and so forth. I have a past teacher from my rabbinical school, the Academy for Jewish Religion, and he has lived in El Paso for decades and decades. And he took it upon himself to get in touch with the Anusim, that is the Marranos, the folks who were Catholic on the outside but Jewish on the inside. The problem is that for many of these people, the Judaism has gone the way of all flesh. But at the same time, they do perform certain commandments, customs. They light candles on Friday night. They do not build a fire on Saturday, because the smoke going up the chimney would give evidence that they were Jewish. And all that stuff is left over from when these hidden Jews were living in Mexico and scared to death that the Inquisition would find them out, because the Inquisition did come to the New World. I'm pretty sure it had to be the 17th century, something like that. There was even a burning of suspected Jews by the Inquisition. So it was really kind of sad. So these people went into hiding. And my colleague, my teacher, the rabbi discovered them and met with them, and in many instances converted them or verified their Judaism. And that's how the Jewish people go on. Okay, let's light candles. Yes, ma'am. Hi. Linda, how do you do, Linda? Can you strike a match and light some candles? Just two of them. Really? That's it. And I'll take care of the list. It's all prefab. Okay. Right.
I should know the lesson too.
Well, yeah, but we sing it together because they did that when I got here. It's been 14 years, you can't change very much. Please rise, right over there. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my God, Lord, lots of that.
Yes, indeed. Oh, cool. Okay,
He died, you know.
I'm sorry.
Am I allowed to use this?
Yes, it's really okay.
Right now?
Yeah, well, the Israeli candles are better than the Chinese candles. That's not racist. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, but you have to light the Israeli candles. Right.
And that's what we're doing. Okay, thank you. We wave our, no, don't go anywhere. Just wave your hands over the candles. Bringing Shabbat, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Baruch Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu, le'adler shel Shabbat. Amen. Thank you so much. Asher kiddushanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu. Vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lehadlik, vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lehadlik, vitzivanu, vitzivanu, lehadlik, shel Shabbat. Amen. Please be seated. We're on page 13 for the Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachei L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Amen. L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We'll continue now on page 14. You did Nefesh. So loving God, the passion's gentle source, take my disposition and shape it to your will. Like a darting deer, will I rush to you before your glorious presence? Humbly will I bow. Let your sweet love delight me with its thrill, because no other deity will my hunger still. How splendid is your light, illuminating in the world. My soul is weary yearning for your love's delight. Good God, to heal her, reveal to her your face, the pleasure of your presence, and your grace. She will find strength and healing in your sight. Forever will she serve you, grateful with all her might. Continuing now. Well, let's start from the beginning, page 15. Naria, Naria, Letsuri, Shenu, and Bana, Bitoda. Naria, Naria, Letsuri, Shenu, Isbiro, Naria, Lo. The Huneranina, the Huneranina, the Huneranina, Ladonai. The Huneranina, the Huneranina, the Huneranina, Ladonai. And I'll do the last three lines. Arba'im shana kut bidor laomar anto ele v'ahem ve'im lo yadu derachai asher nishbati v'api im yevon el menuchati. All right, continuing on page 17. Adonai malach tagel haaretz yismechu im rabim. All right, let's take it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stanzas from the bottom. We'll do this responsibly. Shame covers those who worship idols, those who take pride in revering images, which must themselves bow low before God. Together, hearing of your judgments, Adonai, Zion exults and the cities of Judah rejoice. You are supreme over all the earth, highly exalted beyond all that is worshipped. For those who love Adonai, hate evil, God protects the faithful and saves them from the wicked. Light is stored for the righteous, joy for the honorable. Rejoice in Adonai, you who are righteous. Proclaim the holiness of God's name. Or zaru ala tzadi. Uli Israel Simcha, Or Zarua Lahatzadi, Uli Israel Simcha, Yadai, 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 And we continue on page 21 with the Lachadodi. Lachadodi, Lachadala, B'nei Shabbat, L'kabela, Lachadodi, L'kabela, B'nei Shabbat, L'kabela. Keep and remember we're uttered as one by our Creator beyond comparison. The Adonai is one, His name is one, reflected in glory, in fame and in praise. L'chadoti, l'chadala, b'nei Shabbat, l'kabela. Come, let us read Shabbat, Queen sublime, fountain of blessings in every clime, anointed and regal since earliest time. In short, she preceded creation 6 days. Lechatoti, lekrat kala, Pilei Shabbat, lekavila. Please rise, page 22, the fourth stanza. We face the door at which the Sabbath Queen will enter. Bo'i shalom, ateret Allah, gam b'simcha u'tzala, tovenu ne, amsigula, bo'i Allah, bo'i Allah, lechatoti, lekrat kala, Pilei Shabbat, lekavila. Please be seated. Page 23. Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat. Let's read beginning with, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stanzas from the top, responsively. The thoughtless cannot comprehend, the foolish cannot fathom this. The wicked may flourish, springing up like grass, but their doom is sealed, for you are supreme forever. Your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish, all the wicked shall crumble, but me with them greatly exalted. I am anointed as with fragrant oil. I have seen the downfall of my foes, I have heard the despair of my attackers. The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, they shall grow tall like a cedar in Lebanon. Plant in the house of Adonai, they will thrive in the courts of our God. They shall bear fruit even in old age. They shall be ever fresh and fragrant. To proclaim, Adonai is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. As we know, it's not a translation, it's a paraphrase. But that line, 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom, your enemies, Adonai, your enemies shall perish. All the wicked shall crumble. Makes it sound like the enemies were like Oreos. There was another translation, disintegrate. I like disintegrate. Maybe all their atoms will separate. And the last 4 lines in the Hebrew. We can put the prayer books aside. It's time for my drush. As I said before, Ki Tetzei is significant, not so much for what happens in it, but that Moses is giving a whole slew of mitzvot to the Israelites, a good many of which are disturbing by today's standards because the world in which we live currently is ever so civilized and people get along so nicely. There are no problems. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's criticize our ancestors. Here's one. Now, in those days, you know, you had polygamy, right? Polygamy. It's like eating potato chips. Anyway, polygamy. The fact was a man could marry as many women as he could afford. That's why in the case, well, Abraham didn't. He had Sarah. Then, of course, Rebecca was married to Isaac, and I think she was a singalo. But finally, then we get down to Jacob. Jacob is definitely the champion in this area. First, he marries, he loves Rachel, and his nasty father-in-law pulls a switcheroo on them at the marriage, the wedding night, and he winds up with Leah. There are all kinds of really distasteful stories about how he was fooled into marrying Leah. And frankly, she must have been wearing a stainless steel veil, because generally you could tell the difference between one sister and another. I don't know. Okay, so he wants Rachel. He marries Leah after working 7 years in the hopes that he'll get Rachel. He didn't know there was going to be a switcheroo. And he winds up with Leah, works for another 7 years, and finally gets Rachel. Now we settle upon the having baby department. And apparently Leah is extremely prolific. She is able to give birth to most of the 12 tribes all by herself. But Rachel is desperate. It's really a very sad psychological act in action. And I never got through The Red Tent, but I know that Nita Diamond, the author of The Red Tent, did a great deal of stage managing around the matriarchs. Anyway, Rachel goes to Jacob just when he's coming home tired from the field and chasing the cows and sheep around, and says, I want you to marry my maidservant. And he says, oh, and she says, yes, her name is Bilhah. And that's Bilhah. So he marries Bilhah. Then Leah enters a dry spell of no babies. So she goes to Jacob and says, well, you married Bilhah, now you have to marry my maidservant Zilpah. Now he's a very busy fellow, Jacob. Really, it's no longer just the cattle and whatnot all day. And that's whence cometh the remainder of the tribes, 12 tribes, 12 boys, 1 girl, Dinah. But what happens here, and this may have some connection to the rivalry between Rachel and Leah, because if a man marries 2 women, and one of them is ha'ahuvah and the other one is hasnuah, he loves one, but he doesn't love the other. And the disliked one gives birth to the firstborn. Is he allowed to reject the hated wife's firstborn son when the time comes to divvy up the inheritance? No, he's not. He's not allowed. He's got to treat the firstborn as if he loves him and so on. It all sounds like a Charles Dickens novel, but that's the law with the loved one and the next. Very badly behaved children. There is the case of the Ben Sorer Umoreh. This is the son who is drunk. He's a drunkard. He gobbles all of his food. He plays the TV really loudly. He never goes out to get a job. He plays his video games the whole time, and he goes out carousing with women of doubtful reputation. And the parents decide after a while they cannot bear this son. So what do? According to the Torah, they haul him down to the village gate, which is not a nightclub in Greenwich Village. Are they still around? Yes. Okay. Well, anyway. Instead, they just haul him down to the gate of the village, which is where the elders of the town congregate. And they say, our son, this is our son. He is stubborn. He is rebellious. He is a drunkard. He doesn't listen to his mother or to his father. And he's incorrigible. And this is a long time before social services or parenting classes. So what do they do with him? They stone him. Yes, they do. Now you can interpret that one of 2 ways. It's either throwing rocks at him, or the preferred method, which is in the Talmud, you could look it up, is that you take him to a cliff and you push him over, and that breaks his neck, and no more problems. Parents walk away. Well, that's it. You can't win them all. Now, is that a just law? No, it's not.
You didn't have my son.
Okay. Well, sorry. Oh, okay. Well, what the rabbis in the Talmud did, they were totally horrified by this law. And they said, no. We have to attach conditions to the law. In other words, I'm sure you had when you were younger, although you all look very well behaved, it was a day on which you totally upset your mother, but your father still loved you, right? That can happen. So in this instance, the stubborn and rebellious son has got to be distasteful and disliked by both the mother and the father. It can't be just one of them. Furthermore, he is stubborn, rebellious, a glutton, and a drunkard. He's got to be every single one of those things. He can't just be stubborn. He can't just be rebellious. He can't just say, well, you see where this is going. So they gradually legislated it out of existence. Okay. Next. All right. Cross-dressing. A man shall not wear the garments of a woman, nor shall a woman wear the garments of a man. That would certainly not be helpful towards the efforts of many of our fellow Americans today. So they solved this. They actually solved this when I was going to yeshiva, because a lot of the because we were Yeshiva University. We were on 186th Street and Amsterdam Avenue. Stern College for Women was on 34th Street in Lexington. And you know, in Orthodox shuls, you've got to separate the men from the women. So this was totally ingenious, because they used half of Manhattan Island to separate the men from the women. Anyway, the girls wanted to wear jeans. And the rabbis at Stern College ruled, yes, you may wear jeans. Was that a violation of the Torah law?
No.
Now, don't forget, we're going back to Ulala Sassoon and Gloria Vanderbilt. Of course, could a man ever hope to put on a pair of Gloria Vanderbilts?
No.
No, they were not tailored for a man. Therefore, they were not considered a man's garment. And that's how they got around it. And the Stern College girls wore jeans as much as they wanted. Not in class, no, but during their leisure hours. Okay. Okay, next, let's see. 74 of the Torah's 613 mitzvot are in this Torah portion. And here's another. You're going down through the forest and you see a bird, a mother bird sitting on her eggs. And you absolutely must have those eggs. I do not understand this at all, because it's clearly a wild bird and you're not supposed to eat wild anything, okay? But I guess you're really, really hungry and you have your bottle of oil and your trusty frying pan right there. So you're all ready to cook up an over easy. Now, what do? You leave the mother bird on the nest while you steal her babies.
Oh.
No. But the babies are still, I can't say in utero, in vitro, in ego. Okay. So anyway, you have to chase away the mother bird. And then you can have the eggs. Is that okay?
No.
It's very sad.
Yeah,
It really
she
is.
comes back.
Absolutely. Yeah, the mother's going to come back and say, I thought I had some eggs here.
What if the egg is not a yolk egg
Right.
anymore? But it has a little chicken.
Yeah, then you don't know if your milk looks so flesh. Well, this actually comes up. There's well, it used to be famous back in the 40s. It was called As a Driven Leaf, and written by Rabbi Milton Steinberg. There we go, Milton Steinberg. And there's one of the characters, the main character is Elisha ben Avuya. He is not an apostate. He's an apikoros. He's an unbeliever. He was a rabbi among other rabbis, but he convinced himself by studying a great deal of Greek philosophy that the Jewish God certainly did not exist. And he's still on tenterhooks. He's not sure if he should give up Judaism or not. One day he's riding his trusty horse through the forest and he sees a little boy climbing up a tree to get the eggs from the nest of the mother. And the little boy shinnies out the branch and he's hanging on for dear life with one hand, while his other hand stretches out to fetch the eggs and chase away the mother. While he's in the act of waving his hand to chase away the mother, he falls from the tree and breaks his neck. Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya says, Ein din ve'ein dayan. There is no judgment, there is no judge. He stopped believing in God right there, because the kid had risked his life and lost his life in the performance of a Torah mitzvah, and Rabbi Elisha ben Avuya had it over. Okay, so that's a very dramatic instance that was the single thing to get him to give up Judaism. What else have we got? Okay, let's talk about Mamzerut. Okay, this is really not a problem. I suppose it's a problem among the Orthodox, but nobody else seems to care about it. Mamzer is illegitimate. Okay, in Judaism, illegitimate does not mean two high school kids who had sex and she got pregnant. There is nothing wrong with the spiritual status of that child. there must be something wrong with, they're gonna have quite a time of it, but even so, it's legitimate in terms of that. Illegitimacy or mamzerut, pardon me, bastarding, really comes either from incest or adultery, okay? And it was quite a thing for many, many years in Israel. In Israel, they do care about these things. I don't know where they get the birth records. I suppose they just keep them very assiduously. But in this instance, what happens is that the child who grows up, if the child is illegitimate, that person can only marry an illegitimate other person. And it's very controversial. The Reform did away with it first. The Conservatives did away with it as well. And that's where it stands. But in Israel, it can be a problem. Okay. There was this couple who wanted to get married. I don't have all the details. And somebody called them up and said, no, sorry, you can't do it. One of you is a mamzer, and that's the way it is. Okay. Now, what happens if A and B are brothers and A marries a lovely girl and then he dies? Who has to marry the widow? Brother, yes. Is that a good idea?
Yeah.
Not always. No, indeed. Well, with we Jews, we are very complicated people, and we have complicated laws. So what you do is you get a bet team, you get 3 rabbis or 3 learned Jews, and you get them into a room, and the widow has to take a boot. It's a specially built boot. It's very high. It goes all the way up to the knees, and it has a very long lace in the boot. And she has to put the boot on and say to him, are you going to marry me? And he says, no, I like you as a sister-in-law, but as a wife, that's a totally different kettle of fish. So she spits on the floor and takes the boot off him while saying, thus shall be done to the house of the one who refuses to raise up his brother's family. And then he can marry whom he wants, and she can marry whom she wants. But that boot must have been something. We have some in Jewish museums around the world. Yes.
There's a very lovely, touching film called Loving Leah, where that ceremony is part of it.
Yes. Is that in Israel? Do they do that?
No.
It's an American film. Yes, well. So these are ethical challenges. Many of these don't exist anymore. I think that's it. The chalitza, the removal of the shoe, the law of you're not supposed to charge interest on a loan. And yet many Jews became pawnbrokers. They were not allowed to charge interest on a loan to a Jew, but they were allowed to charge interest on a loan to a Gentile. So that was another law. So how do we understand these today? Well, I'm really glad that at least half of them have quietly evolved out of existence. I wonder about them carrying them out in years past, but we'll never know about that. How many of these were ignored? How many of these were carried out, and so on? I do find them fascinating, especially that one with the mother bird. Okay. Any questions? All right. Let's move on. We've got Baruch Hu. Paul, Rita, would you open the ark, please? Page 28, please rise. Bow towards the ark. Baruch Hu es Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach. Le'olam Vaed. Amen. Okay, thank you. Yes, your phones. You may be seated. Avir Yom Umehi Vilayla מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, Amari Baraki. Amen. This is on page 29, the right-hand side, below the line. Reading responsively. Torah is a closed book until it is read with an open heart. Together, House of Israel, great and small, open your hearts to the words of Torah. Torah is demanding, yet sweeter than honey, more precious than gold. House of Israel, young and old, open yourselves, heart and soul, to its treasures. Torah sanctifies life and teaches us how to be human and holy. House of Israel, near and far, cherish the eternal sign of God's love. Torah is given each day. Each day we can choose to reject or accept it. House of Israel, house at Sinai, choose to accept and be blessed by its teachings. Top paragraph in the Hebrew, the last two lines. Yahavatecha tasim imenu li'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Amen. Page 30, we cover the eyes. Shema Yisrael. We cover the eyes. Baruch Moshe Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Ohed. And reading the English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. And these words which I command you this day, you shall take to heart. Teach them diligently to your children. Recite them at home and away, night and day. Bind them as a sign upon your hand, and as a reminder above your eyes. Inscribe them upon the doorposts of your homes and upon your gates. Continuing, middle of 32, the Milchamocha. Yifat Adonai et Yaakov, u'ge'alo mi'ad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Kol Yisrael. Amen. All right, on 33 on the left, we'll read together the prayer for the Cholim, the folks who are not well. I'm going to read from my list. Lauren Lobel, Emily Alter, Judy Lacourte, Norma Fogel, Murray Lichtenstein, Jose Liu, Marilyn Drucker, Gigi Palais, Inez Pasher, Susan Cohen, Gary Ivan Rosen, Eileen Carroll, Barbara Osofsky, Doreen Christopher, Jeannie Tarrant, Carol Reese, and Otis Almaraz. Any other names? Yes. Yes, Jeffrey Stern. Yes. Yes. Paul?
No, sorry.
That's fine. Yes.
Lisa Saint,
Before Schleim.
Joe Hudson,
Before Schleim.
Shirley Hudson.
Before Schleim. Okay. All right. Let's read the English paragraph together. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace and awaken us again, our sovereigns of life. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Guide us with your good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us. Our gracious and merciful ruler, guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spread the shelter of peace over us. over all its people Israel, and over Jerusalem and the entire world. Rosalenu, Sukat Shlomecha, Oru Chato Adonai, Borei Sukat Shalom Aleinu, Yal Kol Amo Yisroel, Yal Yerushalayim, Yal Kol Haolam Kulo. Amen. 34 is the Shabbat. V'shamru b'nei Yisroel et Hashabbat. So et Hashabbat l'dot v'itolah. V'shamru b'nei Yisroel et Hashabbat. Et Hashabbat l'dot v'itolah. Eini uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti liolam, oti liolam, oti liolam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat. Et Hashabbat l'dot v'itolah. Kishesh Yamim Asa Adonai et Hashamayim et Haaretz V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat. Et Hashabbat l'dot v'itolah. Uvayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayinachmash Shabbat Vayinachmash Shabbat Vayinachmash V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et Hashabbat. Et Hashabbat l'dot v'itolah. Please rise. Yit gadol, yit kadash, shemei rabbah. Amen. Adivrach erute, v'yamlech malchute, v'chayet konu v'yomechot, u'chayet kol beit Yisroel. Bagala, bagala, uvizman karev. V'meru amen. Yeshmera v'leora, v'olam v'olam Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitboar v'tromam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalav, Shemei Kedusha, V'elah. Kol birchata b'shirata tushbechata v'lemata da'iran v'alema v'meru amen. Yamidah, the standing silent prayer, 35b to the conclusion, which is page 38, after which you may be seated. You haven't yet finished the Amidah, please continue, otherwise we're on 38 at the top.
This is on.
L'chol hashalom, shalom ra'ah, ha'yisrael amcha, hasim v'yoram. Shalom ra'ah, ha'yisrael amcha, hasim v'yoram, hasim v'yoram. Continuing on 47, bottom paragraphs. And this is a precis, this is a summary of the Amidah. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Elohei Avraham v'Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Sarah v'Elohei Rivka v'Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Oel HaGadol Gibor v'Nara El Elyon Onei Shemayim v'Haaretz Ogei Avotivado Chaye Metim Demamaro El HaKadosh Sheil Kamohu Amen Yamo Yom Shabbat Kasho Ratza Yaniach Lo Ivan Ratza Yaniach Lahem Anan Nabo Yirah Nodeh Lishmo B'chol Yom Tamid Ein Hashalom Ikadesh Hashabbat Orel Shiri Bein Benach Bekusha Amidushnei Oleh Sefer Lemase Kaddish 48. Yikra Midrash Shemei Shabbat Yivrach Yerutei V'Yamrit Mahutei V'Chaye Chol V'Chol V'Chaye L'Chol Beit Yisrael Adonai B'Zman Koviv Yimru Amen Yehei Shmei Ram V'Chol Amlam Yom V'Chol Yom Before Vichuman Bitnase, Tatar Vitalevi Talal, Shemere Kudisha, Brichu, Yinvam in Kovachata, Vashirata, Vishpata, Vanakamata, Damira Bilma, Yimru, Amen. Tapal Sloton, Ugoton, the Chayisrael, Damavu Hondi Vishmaya, Yimru, Amen. Shalom Rabba Min Shemaya, the Chaim Alenva Chayisrael, Yimru, Amen. Say shalom libroma, say shalom aleichem. May all call Israel, amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem. May all call Israel, Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, v'yakol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru amen. 49 is the Kiddush, if you please rise. Stavriman Rabbanan Rabbatai, Aruhatai, Elohim Melech Burning green, Haggadah, Amen. Aruhatai, Elohim Melech Asher Yisham Mitzvah Shabbat Yashlo Yahal Tzimanu Zikaron Lemaseh Bereshit Yom Tevila Tevila Kodesh Tzedekah Yisrael Mitzrayim I am the Shai includes.
Can't we get a little Cabernet next week?
I'll try harder.
We'll stamp harder on it.
I thought the wine was.
It's a good vintage, though. It was Tuesday.
Okay, page 51 is the Alenu. Jeffrey, would you open the ark, please?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Elkeinu Kahem, Vikol Aleinu, Vichol Avodan, Anu Korim, Vishakavim Urodim, Lifnei Mechanah, Me'arlakim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Teshamavim Yosei Haaretz, Umashavikaram, Umashamayim Vivar, Ushli Natizam, Begave Mirom, U Elohim, Elohim, Mourner's Cottage. If you're not saying Mourner's Cottage, you may be seated. Page 52. Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabba, Amen. Yalmati Barak, Hirute, Yamdil, Mamste, L'chayi, Chol, V'yimei Chol, L'chayi, L'chol, Beit Yisrael, Akalam Sman Kari Ru Dehesh Me Rabba Devora Diola Del Maya Ora Ishaba Yoar Troma Inase Itadar Itale Itala Shme Kudishar Riyalu the Elam and Kober Fata Shirata Tushka Fata Benakamata Irandi Allah Bibru Abe Hey Shalama Rama bin Shemaya Chaim Aleinu B'Alkol Yisrael Yivdu Abe O says Shalom B'Goma Ya says Shalom Aleinu B'Alkol Yisrael B'Alkol Yishmei Tevel Yivdu Abe. Now a few words from our wonderful temple lesson.
Mostly just a very good Shabbat to everybody here and to all of you who are at home, a good, sweet, healthy, beautiful Shabbat. Jeffrey, it's lovely to see you doing well and up doing the Eleno. It's wonderful, just wonderful. Yeah, we have the high holidays are in full force now, and all your seats are done. If you haven't made arrangements for your seats, please call the office on Monday, and Joni and I are there on Mondays and Thursdays, and we'll take care of it. I know that everyone in the room right now has a seat, and a very good one. So we're busy. I thank you all. I know you've received your second envelope this week. Thank you. We've already gotten responses. Our holiday flowers were delivered. We have them. Obviously, they are silk flowers because we couldn't take delivery on fresh flowers right now, but they are absolutely beautiful. And tomorrow at our traditional Shabbat service, Cantor Anita is going to be singing tomorrow. So you're all very, very welcome to come. If you can't make it for tomorrow, come on Slichot on September 9th, which is going to be a beautiful, big celebration. We have a tremendous response already. And whatever the capacity is, we are ready for it. So come, just be with us. It's going to be an extraordinary evening to begin the holidays. This week, our activities will go on except for Canasta and Maja, because William is setting up the social hall now for the holiday crowd. We will not be burdening him with setting up tables for anything else. That's the only change this week. I must apologize to all of you here tonight. We are always very big on having our roundtable discussion over coffee, tea, and cake. And because William is recovering from a fall, he's doing very well. He's doing very well, but he was unable to set up for us this weekend. And so I promise you double cake next Friday night. And I know you understand. Yeah, we can't do it all, and we need him to take it easy this week. So thank you for your understanding and your love as always. And you too.
Shouldn't touch anything.
Thank you, Annabeth, for taking over the Zoom so that Doreen can have some time, well-earned time off tonight. And our best to Dina. If you're watching, Dina, we're thinking about you because your mom's wasn't doing too well. We hope that our Refuah Shalema prayers usually have pretty good results. So mommy's on the list, and a good Shabbos to each and every one of you. Welcome. Come anytime.
It's working for me.
Yes, yeah, several times.
We have energized the body.
Thank you, Rita. Also, I apologize for leaving out William Doster, our wonderful caretaker, but so much more. He's really our man for all seasons. Is he an electrician? Is he a plumber? Is he a figure outer? Is he a great, very knowledgeable about human nature as well? And the longest serving employee here at Temple Shalom.
Yeah.
So we want to wish him a full shalom. All right, page 54, we have the Adon Olam. And as Rita told you, tomorrow we're in sanctuary, what I affectionately call the big room. So it's really a lovely facility. Let's do a little Ludwig van this evening, the Ninth Symphony. Adonai Hashem Olam B'Terem Yitzir Nifra V'Nasa V'Chazoko Asai Melechim Bo Yikra Please rise for the closing benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. Your heir, Adonai Panav B'Finecha, the Lord make his face shine upon you, and be gracious unto you. He saw Adonai Panav Elecha, Yasem Lecha Shalom. The Lord turn his face unto you, grant you peace. We say Amen. Shabbat Shalom.